Well, the winter weather this week seemed to affect everyone, even the Indiana State Legislature. We're going to talk with State Representative Mark Messmer as he's made his way to our studio, although the weather's a whole lot better, to talk about what happened, or maybe what didn't happen this week, and what he expects for next week. Mark, welcome to the show.
Very good. Thank you for the invite. We got a little change of plans this week.
Yeah, it was, you know, for Indiana, it was unusual that all of Indiana was affected like it was.
It really was. I mean, it was the entire state. We didn't get the snow down here as bad as we had in Indianapolis, but the temperatures were equally as punishing across the state.
They were bitter. Okay, so let's talk about what didn't happen this week, because you didn't go to session Monday like you thought.
Right. We got the note, unfortunately for me, too late after I had already made the early trip to Indianapolis to try to beat the bad weather, but it got so bad that, and it's pretty unusual for us to cancel session, but we did cancel session on Monday because of the bad weather. And we did meet late in the day on Tuesday to give everybody a chance Tuesday morning. You know, some of the people from northern Indiana had quite a long, slow trip to get down. But we were able to get enough people there Tuesday afternoon to have a quorum, and we did adopt the first set of bills. There was like 50 to 60, probably 60 or so bills on the first bill list, bills that had been filed prior to session, and those got assigned to committee on Tuesday. So Wednesday and Thursday we were able to have committee hearings. I had my first committee hearing on Wednesday afternoon in the Commerce Economic Development Session Committee, and we heard a bill presented by Representative Cook from Bedford on doing on a 5-year cycle, you know, every year, look at about 20% of the different types of tax incentives, and really deals with every type of tax incentive, not just local abatements, but every state tax incentive, even your property tax, homestead deductions. Look at every type of deduction that we're given, and every year. Review 20% of those and look them over to make sure they're doing what we intended them to do, and then make recommendations to the legislature on, you know, whether to revise them, repeal them, whatever. You know, every year come up with, you know, recommendations on, are they doing what we intended them to do, and if not, what do we want to, you know, move, you know, change going forward.
Did any bills make it to the floor?
Not to the floor, because on Thursday we had Thursday morning committee hearings as well. We went into session at 10, so all the committees that met on Wednesday and Thursday, then on Thursday during session, we adopt what's called the committee report. Okay. So if we pass a piece of legislation, the committee votes on it, then that becomes a report that's sent to the floor, and those committee reports then Thursday in session all get adopted and approved, and then next week, any bills that were had a committee report adopted on Thursday, Monday can be eligible to be on the floor for amending on what they call second reading amendments. So we'll have a decent schedule of bills to work on Monday for amending.
There weren't necessarily any bills scheduled to be on the floor then this week?
Not on the floor.
It wouldn't have happened anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we didn't really, I mean, we lost a day. We probably would have had, instead of, you know, a dozen bills with committee reports on Thursday, we'd have had, you know, probably 40 or 50 bills. Okay. I mean, because not every committee was able to get with not having session Monday and waiting till late Tuesday, not every committee was able to get their calendars and stuff set and get bills, you know, that were assigned, you know, to look through them and schedule hearings. So we had about a 50% committee attendance and activity on Wednesday, where and normally would have had committee hearings Tuesday as well, because before session on Tuesday morning, there's 3 or 4 committees that meet. A bunch of them meet on Wednesday, and a few of them meet on Thursday morning. So we missed the Tuesday committee hearing time. We missed the full slate of Wednesday, and so we had some bills that were moved out that we'll debate on the floor next week starting on Monday. So kind of an abbreviated schedule, and we will, since, I mean, a short session, you really have a limited number of days to work with.
So will those days then be made up in some way?
Yeah, we'll have a makeup day. It looks like they told us to expect on Friday, January 24th. We could have met today, but there was a lot of people who have real jobs, and you know, going into this, you know, this week had things scheduled for Friday, today. So they said, well, you know, being short notice, we'll move that makeup day out a couple weeks, and we will have it because we just don't have that many days to mess with.
Okay, so just like the schools, you got to make up
We
your
have makeup day,
days.
yeah.
Okay, and you thought you were out of school.
That's right.
Now you got a makeup day. It's no makeup day. Well, next week then, what are some of the bills that will be coming up?
Well, they rattled through. I did get my schedule of bills emailed to me today. I haven't had a chance to read all of them to see what we'll be working on Monday for amending. I will do that before it gets too late in the day, so if I have amendments, I can get them turned in on time on Monday morning. But the big bill that we'll be having a committee hearing on Monday morning is the Defense of Marriage Constitutional Amendment Resolution. So that'll have its hearing Monday at 10 in the House chamber, and so that'll be the one that'll get the most news on Monday.
That's the one that the publicity seems to be built
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. In reality, that amendment doesn't change current law at all. I mean, it's been made out to be, a lot of things that it's not. We currently have a ban on gay marriage in Indiana. It's been in statute for a couple of decades. This resolution doesn't change it at all. It doesn't change any relationship between private businesses and if they have domestic partner benefits, whether you're a married couple, an unmarried couple. It doesn't change any ability for private employers or for public employers, for that matter, to have domestic partner benefits. So along with that resolution, we've got a bill that basically, I think it's 1153 is the House bill, pretty close to that number. Anyway,
Okay.
that clarifies what the resolution does and doesn't do. And it does not really change, it doesn't change anything in the state other than we have a law that has marriages between a man and a woman, and there's probably only us and 2 or 3 other states that have a law but don't have that same definition of marriage in their constitution. And if we don't put it in our constitution, I can assure everyone that we will have one judge somewhere across the state that will declare our law unconstitutional because it doesn't have constitutional protection. And would we rather have one judge somewhere across the state decide the issue, or if we put the resolution on the ballot and the people of Indiana approve it, then it has constitutional protection that keeps the courts from deciding the issue for us. It's not a permanent ban. It's taken us. It's a 2 to 3 year process to get a resolution passed through 2 consecutive General Assemblies to put it on the ballot. If at some point the people of Indiana feel overwhelmingly that they want to change our law, then we just reverse it over a 2-year period, 3-year period at the most, and put it on the ballot to repeal the constitutional definition and change the law. But if we don't, the states that have not had the constitutional definition but had the law, almost all of them have had a judge throw their law out. And that's really all. That's all HJR. It was HJR 6 last session. It'll be HJR 3 this session. That's all the resolution does is keeps it out of the hands of the courts and keeps it in the hands of the people.
Okay, so if things are passed, then it will go to a referendum, or it's a ballot issue then?
It'll go on the ballot to have final approval.
What ballot? This coming
in the
primary
fall,
or fall?
in November elections.
Okay, and if it doesn't pass?
It still doesn't change the current law.
Okay, so there won't be a ballot issued, to vote?
Well,
Right,
if it doesn't pass in the House and Senate, then it will not go on the ballot in the fall.
Okay.
If it passes in the House and the Senate, then it goes on the ballot in the fall for final approval by the citizens.
Everybody
of the state.
who votes, votes. Okay. Now, this seems like this is a bill that's going to get a lot of play. People are going to be talking about it, and the press especially. But is this being done early to get it out of the way, or is it really just because you don't want it to sit there and?
Well, the longer it sets, the more of a distraction it is to really what's important. The important issues are, jobs, education reform. The bills we're going to be dealing with that deal with highway spending. The issues that are truly important are jobs and infrastructure and education, and we just don't want it to be out there distracting from getting done the stuff that's really important to everybody, and so we're going to deal with it next week. It should have its hearing on Monday, be amended on Wednesday, and final vote on Thursday.
Okay. What other bills that people maybe ought to be paying attention to next week?
I'll report to that next week.
Okay, we'll let you know. Okay, because
there's probably nothing that we approved in committee work this week that's going to be, super, of interest to most folks. But I'll have a more complete list next week on what we did.
Well, obviously, too, if you don't want two important bills at one time, because then some lose some attention.
Right.
Okay. We appreciate you coming in, taking the time, and
Sure.
talking to us and getting us up to date on what's happening. Anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I did file for next year's reelection, or this year's reelection. We are in 2014.
Okay.
On Wednesday, I turned in my paperwork for that, so we're ready to go and looking ahead to that as well.
Okay. Mark, thank you very much for coming in and talking with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Our guest has been Mark Messmer. He is the state representative for District 63, and he'll be back next week to tell you what happened in the legislature next week. Thank you for watching WJTS Inform. We are local people watching local people.